You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to the program. Joining me now, Bill Kopsky and Elaine Williams with the Arkansas Public Policy Panel. Thank you both for being here. Thank you, Elaine, for driving in a little extra further than Bill probably drove this morning. So
Certainly.
we appreciate you being here.
Yes.
All right, you guys are putting together a series of town halls at the present time as we're speaking right here. Who wants to take first crack at why are you having these town halls to begin with? What are you trying to organize? Where will they be? Who are you trying to pull together?
Bill?
So we're doing town halls around the state on two ballot measures that we're working on this election cycle. So one is the Education Rights Amendment, and it would improve our public schools. And then the other one is the ballot measure rights amendment that protects the ballot measure process for citizens that politicians have been attacking. So we have three town halls coming up. We just did one in Little Rock earlier this week. The three coming up are next week on September 23rd in Fort Smith at 6 p.m. Then on October 14th, we have one in Conway at 6, and then we have one on November 4th in Clinton. And we're going to be doing more around the state, just trying to engage voters, make sure they know kind of what's coming up.
Are you trying to build coalition and support for, the volunteers that you'll need to get these on the ballot, or is this educational in nature? Are people coming to these already knowing what these ballot measures that you're going to propose are?
It's a combination, mainly to let the people know that what we're trying to do, get back on the ballot, is still dealing with education and how important that is, and what we need to do to secure the people, to make sure that they understand and know that this is a safe measure that they're actually going to sign signatures for, as well as give them information with the new things that are coming out that's attached to this amendment.
I want both of your takes on this. The legislature made myriad changes in this last legislative session.
Over 20 bills were introduced.
Yeah, to really make it harder to get something on there. There's a higher burden of proof to get some things on. We won't discuss motives for doing that, but just tell me kind of practically, how does that change the whole signature collection process? And I'm assuming, I know y'all were both up there testifying against some of these bills, but how has it made it more difficult in your estimation?
Well, from where I sit, people are reluctant because they're saying that you're asking way too much information, and it's actually taken more of their time than it did in the previous cycle that we had. And when I say time, it's because you have to read everything to them, and sometimes you have to go back and explain it. And then if you get someone that's actually not able to read, they can read it for themselves, but if they're not able to read, then you read it and then you explain it. And so then you're asking for information like IDs and that kind of thing. And I think there's a barrier with people because they don't want to show you their ID. They don't want to give you their social security number. A lot of them don't want to give you their date of birth. I mean, they're just asking for too much information. And then when you hone in and say, okay, so I want you to know what you're signing, and if you sign, this is what could happen, these are your rights, and this is what can happen. And people are going like, I'm not going to sign that because I don't want to go to jail.
Right.
And I if I sign it, I know it's important, but with all this new coming up, I just don't want to be a part of it.
A lot of skepticism when you approach people for some of that personal information too, which again is a deterrent to people signing some of these ballot measures. Let's talk about the two ballot measures that you guys are going to be pursuing. Let's talk about the one that we're on the subject on right now, and that is the Arkansas Ballot Measure Rights Amendment. Have you gotten what you need in terms of approval from the Attorney General to start collecting signatures on that? And what will the actual petition, what are you trying to get done?
Sure. So the Ballot Measure Rights Amendment has been approved by the Attorney General for us to start collecting signatures. He rewrote our ballot title for us to make it what he says is below an 8th grade reading level. We're not sure about that. We have some litigation challenging that, but we have been cleared.
Another new stipulation that went in from the last legislative session.
And so what the ballot measure does, though, is it creates 3 fundamental rights for Arkansas citizens. It gives you the fundamental right to collect signatures, gives you the fundamental right to propose a ballot measure, and it gives you the fundamental right to sign a petition yourself. And all the laws that the legislature has passed to harass voters have been really designed to block one of those 3 rights. And so we're establishing those 3 rights in the amendment, and then it creates some due process. So if somebody wants to challenge a ballot measure, they have to do it through the proper procedure and protocol so that citizen groups have a chance to respond. Right now, a lot of times groups that oppose a ballot measure will wait until the very last minute and the day before the election. How many times have we voted on ballot measures or seen ballot measures on our ballot that no one ever counted because the challenges come so late? So we're moving that process up earlier. And then the last thing that the measure does that's really important is it creates a right to fix your signature if it's thrown off for any reason. So a lot of times a canvasser will make a mistake and you have no idea that your signature was thrown off because the canvasser didn't get it notarized just right or whatever. And so you think you've signed the ballot measure, but in reality your signature's been thrown off. Our measure would require the state to notify you that your signature's been disqualified and give you 10 days to come in and fix that.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's a lot packed into one measure there.
It is.
Let's talk about the other, the Educational Rights Amendment. This one, I guess, reverses some things that are in the LEARNS Act to some extent, but it also creates some other provisions in there. Who wants to give me the rundown of what's in that particular amendment? And I got a handy note card here that I could read off of if I need to. So.
It doesn't actually reverse anything explicitly in LEARNS. What it does is it creates, again, it does 3 things. It creates an equal playing field for any school that receives public financing. So if you take public funding, you have to meet the same standards as a traditional public school. Right now in Arkansas, we have 3 kinds of publicly funded schools. We have traditional public schools that have the highest academic standards. Then you have charter schools that have much lower standards in terms of they don't have to have certified teachers, they don't have to offer a full curriculum, all kinds of things like that. And then you have private schools now that take public money vouchers, and those have almost no standards at all. So what our measure does is it requires any school that receives public financing to meet those same high quality public standards. The other 2 things it does is it establishes minimum quality standards that are identical to what the Supreme Court created in the Lakeview ruling in 2002. So they're the same academic standards we have now. The fear is that we don't want politicians or judges watering down our education standards as we go forward, so this protects them in the Constitution. And then the third thing that it does is it provides access to 4 of the most proven academic enhancements that we know we can do to help children learn, which are universal access to pre-K, after-school and summer programs, support for children in poverty, and a guarantee of quality special education.
A policy debate for another day, but there's a big price tag for that as well. So just that universal pre-K would, but we won't get into it today. So, but we'll get into that later. Elaine, tell me a little bit about how you think it will go when the rubber meets the road, when you guys are out here collecting signatures on both of these, the questions that will come up, and can you overcome those obstacles that you have already kind of listed?
I believe that we can overcome those obstacles, but I do think that it's going to be difficult. It's not going to be as smooth as it was before, simply because all the additional things that have been added into it. And when you really look at it from just a wide range view, they just don't want to take the time for you to tell them about each little step. I think if you give them something ABC, they actually understand it better versus a long drawn out essay.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're going to get bogged down at. But I do know that we can get past those barriers, and that we will get past those barriers with some difficulties.
Yeah. The process sounds like it's going to be higher than an 8th grade education
Yes.
level. So.
It can be.
All right. Bill and Elaine, thank you both for being here very much and explaining all this to us. Good luck with your town halls. We'll be watching to see what happens at them, so people can find out more at arpolicypanel.org.
That's arpanel.org.
arpanel.org.
And then both campaigns have their own website. So the Education Amendment is for kids.org, FORAR kids.org, And then the ballot measure rights amendment is protectourrights.org. So protectarrights.org.
All right. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
All right. We're back with more right after this.